Hello, readers. Welcome to 20 Questions with Your Favorite Author, where we ask authors important questions like, why would you agree to be on this podcast? I'm Kelly Lynn Colby, Editorial Director at Cursed Dragon Ship Publishing. Our guest this week is Rob Howell, spec-fic writer, editor, and publisher. Rob is the publisher of New Mythology Press. He is one of the founders of the Eldros Legacy and an author in the Four Horsemen universe. He is a reformed medieval academic, a former IT professional, and a retired sodager. If he's not your favorite now, he will be after. Welcome, Rob. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to the chat.
That's right. It's the fun part.
So before we get too much farther on this, I'm looking at the chat stream, and I want to tell you, I apologize. I didn't have time to create a username on the Twitch TV chat, so I won't be responding to your questions there, but I will be responding to them here. I will also tell you all that I have 3 books to give away tonight, and I'm going to give them away to the 3 most fun questions I see during the evening. So if you give us fun questions, you can get a free book. We'll deal with the logistics later. Send an email to me or Kelly, and we'll get that taken care of. But be honored to send questions to fun questioner, or send books to fun questioners.
How awesome is that? I was like, what's your giveaway? He's like, I know what I want to do. I was like, yes. All right. So think of your questions, but I get to start it off. So think about your questions. So first, Rob, as a writer, editor, and publisher, like, you wear so many hats in this industry, and I totally relate. Which one did you put on first?
So writer, it's kind of funny. I started in this gig late. Like, I started actually writing when I was 45, I think. I really didn't even do it as a hobby when I was younger. The only writing I had was one really kind of stupid thing I did to fill out a program, and then and it's horror, which I've never really written, oddly enough, and then stuff like flavor text for gaming. And I never got into it because I had all these other careers. And then I found myself without a career and really no place to go. And I'm a guy who, I may not be the hardest worker out there, but if I'm not doing something, I will fade away into nothingness really quickly.
You're like, I need a passion.
I need something. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started writing my first novel, and I made all the normal new author mistakes and more. And but that was in 2014, late 2014, early 2015 when I first started doing that. The first novel came out in 2015. I self-published it. I self-published 5 other novels, and I'm now up to my 9th novel's getting ready to come out in May, it looks like. And just keep pushing along. So started as a writer, and then all the rest has come along after.
That's just come along. So how long did it take you to write that first book?
Longer than I wish, about a year.
About a year? That's not bad for your first book.
Yeah. As I said, I didn't have a job, right? So when I literally first started the first page, I was like, okay, so this is my new job. Treat it as such, do X amount of work per day, try and get into doing this professionally. And I'd read a bunch of, indie publishing blogs, even, Sarah Hoyt had a big one where she was talking about that a lot at the time, and a bunch of others who are often, superstars. We met at Superstars, by the way, who are often at Superstars or in that area. And so I started basically with this job. So it took much longer than a novel does for me right now. Novel takes me about 4 months, start to finish. So I get about 2 done a year because in those other 4 months, I've got short stories. I've done a lot of short stories, and they take about a month each. Oftentimes it can be faster. Sometimes everything just works out when it works out, is what I'm finding out now with novels. Sometimes they take longer, sometimes they don't.
Depends on how they speak to you and how much you make them speak to you.
No. By the way, a question here, is Rob wearing the Righting Wrongs logo? No. I'm actually wearing a T-shirt from, let's see if I can get more of it here. This says, "What would Beowulf do in Old English?" Some buddies of mine did a version of Beowulf in Old English at an SCA event in New York, and then I was able to perform it as well in at Penzig. I'm an Old English scholar, so Beowulf is one of my passions. So
that's cool. Yeah, actually, I had a question about that. I'm like, how do you become an ex-medieval academic? Like, how does that happen?
You don't stop getting funding from the university, and your advisor stops returning your emails.
I'm just thinking, if you have all that knowledge, they can't take it from you. I would say you're still a medieval academic.
In many ways, I am, and some days I would like to finish my dissertation. I am all but dissertation in medieval history. That means, were I to get a doctorate in medieval history, however, they're chunking out PhDs, and there are 1 or 2 or 5 jobs a year.
Right. And there's only so many. It's hard to get a postdoc. And
adjunct faculty, it's not a job. It's really not a job.
I agree. I looked into it. I was like, I'll make more if I work at Target. This doesn't make any sense.
You make less than minimum wage, minimum wage being an adjunct faculty, and it's a job that isn't fun. So at least I didn't think.
Nope, I'm with you on that one. It made no sense to me either. I looked into it. I was like, nope. I'll work at Target. There's no stress working at Target. I mean, comparatively speaking to running a class and grading things.
Well, no. That's actually a really good point. One of the, it has been 20 years since I have had a job that when I left the job and went home, I didn't have to worry about it. Yeah. At Target, you leave the job, you really don't have to worry about it. You know, try to do a good job, whatever, but you
can leave it there.
Yes. There are days that it's like, man, I really just wish I could just not have to worry about working for a day.
Not in this industry. There's no such thing as a day off. You might be doing something different today. Yes. But there's never a day off.
My sweetie, actually, she's worries about that. And that's one of the, I have to, she makes sure that I do take a few days off here and there. That, but it's never complete because maybe I'm answering an email or,
Like I might take the writer hat off, but I'm wearing the editor hat or the editor hat, but now the publisher hat's on. No, I totally get that. Yeah. Art Davis says the massive changes in higher ed don't make it particularly attractive. Yeah.
It's not.
I'm with you.
And Spikeette, I believe if you search for Viking Home Companion, you might be able to get one of these shirts. I think that website is still up, but it's Viking Home Companion, a play on the Garrison Keillor Prairie Home Companion concept.
Yeah, I think she wants a Righting Wrongs t-shirt, but that's okay. I want your t-shirt. That's awesome. It's our D&D group we do on Mondays, so that's what the Righting Wrongs are. It's really
okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Friday Blue has a question for you, though. She wants to know if you could be one of the incarnation of immortality, death, life scheme, father time, any of these, what would it be? She's pulling on your medieval academia.
Well, I'm going back to the Piers Anthony books and trying to remember which one I enjoyed the most.
Oh yeah.
It's been a while since I've read them. I'm going to say Father Time, because boy, wouldn't it be nice to be able to say, I'm cutting out a couple hours here, and I'm just gonna lay back and have some beers, and I need 4 more hours of sleep. Stopping time here.
Yes.
I think at this point, On a Pale Horse was probably my favorite, but now in this job, being able to mess with time, that would be awesome.
That would be cool. But I would do exactly what you're saying. If I had control of time, I would just use it to sleep more. I really would. Maybe finish the Netflix thing I'm trying to watch. One of those things. Those are the only thing I would use it for. So it's probably better I don't have that power.
I would have absolutely used it Sunday morning, because First of all, I didn't get to bed until Sunday morning from Saturday, right? Because I was
That's
at
a good con. We need to go to this one, Safo.
Yeah, it was a great con. We're sitting around having fun and chatting and drinking. And the New Mythology Press, the press that I run, had its panel at 9 a.m. on Sunday.
Ooh.
And I was there, and I was moderately coherent. Rich Haley, who is on the chat, Rich Haley was there as well, and he can vouch for my moderate coherence. But yes, I would have absolutely used it to been able to get more than my 4 hours or 5 hours of sleep. That
right. You're like 8 hours, 10 hours sounds good. I'm gonna do 10 hours. Because in real life, who can do that? Nobody can. Mystic said you were missing someone on that panel.
Yeah, I want to know who Mystic Chaos is, because I don't recognize that username. But yes, it turns out now to be fair. Okay, so I was in that panel, and Mark Stallings, who's another Elders Legacy founder, was supposed to. Oh, hi Tara. Was supposed to be there at that panel. He actually got not hungover sick, but sick and couldn't be there.
Oh,
but
no.
throughout the panel, I was like, and if Mark Stallings was here, he could talk about this.
So you made it really obvious he wasn't. Yeah, I like that. Well, since you brought up New Mythology Press as the assistant publisher in charge, I love that name. That's great. For this imprint from Chris Kennedy Press, how did you get roped into the? I mean, how did you get the opportunity to fill this position?
I got it the same way I got my girlfriend, my fiance. I asked him.
Oh, so you just asked Chris?
Yeah. Chris. So Chris Kennedy is.
Did you have to give him a ring? I'm just curious.
No, I didn't. Not yet. But after this, who knows? Chris Kennedy is an amazing guy. He is one of the most hardworking people I know. He's really smart. The list of his accomplishments: former naval aviator, principal of a school, got a PhD in education, I believe. I mean, dude has this amazing list of accomplishments. Tons of books, all this publishing company.
He's really impressive and generous with his knowledge. It's just
absolutely
incredible. Yeah.
Well, we're a big believer in the rising tide lifts all boats, and that's not just our authors, but all authors. But he works really hard, and I went to him about 2.5 years ago, and I said, look, I had done When Valor Must Hold, was in the middle of Songs of Valor. These are the first two Valor anthologies we do through Fantasy. And he'd done some fantasy stuff, and it'd been okay, but he's had so much to do with the Four Horsemen and the Salvage title and so many other of the space opera and the mil sci-fi. And he, I wanted to see if we could do more with fantasy. And I was also worried about him because he was pushing himself. In true Chris form, he said to me at one point, I did 42 books in 2019. I'll never do that again. He did 66 in 2020. That's his version of cutting back.
Well, technically, he didn't do 42, so he didn't lie.
He didn't. He didn't. So I actually went to him and just asked because one, I thought it was a good challenge for me. I find that I can only write so much at a time, but when I was doing the editing process on the anthologies, I found that the energy I was putting into writing wasn't messing with the energy I was putting into anthologies. And so I could have, a day shift of doing this and a night shift of doing that. And that would make me more productive and therefore give me more opportunities to make money because, of course, it's business. And so that was another factor in my thing. But a lot of it was Chris has done so much, and I was worried to a great extent that he was pushing himself too far.
You're like, we need you, dude. We need you. Let me help.
Yeah, Old Jester 68 is correct. Mark is a known troublemaker.
Yeah, and Zafo's correct too. He's also definitely worth giving a hard time because he's good people. He's been on the podcast twice. We adore him around here. So,
the Rich made a point about I accepted responsibility of the crown from G. Scott Huggins. I felt it needed some work, but that it had such great bones that I couldn't pass it up. and Chris had not taken it because while he probably saw the bones, he didn't have the time to be able to put into it. So
yeah, that's definitely a factor. I've never found a story that could not be saved. It just depends on how much time I have to put in it as an editor with the author to actually make it happen. So that's definitely a factor, no doubt.
Oh yeah, there are a lot that I think are innovative ideas, but I can't.
I don't have the time to fix all of these things right now. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's why I try to people. Everyone doesn't get rejected just because their stuff is bad. Mind you, some people do, but that's not usually the thing. Usually, it's just about how much work does this need to, raise up to our publishing house's standards.
And if I'm doing a contest where I'm saying, hey, and I'll be talking about a new one that we just announced on Sunday. If we're doing an open call contest kind of thing, I'm taking the top 4. So it's not a question of your story is good. Is it good enough to be one of the top 4? And that's a different question because
that's different. Yep.
That's in a completely different context. And context. And I usually get about 30 to 40 stories, and of those 10 are really good that I wouldn't mind publishing, but then I'm having to pick through the top 4, and that's challenging sometimes.
It is. It really is. But we're glad we have people like you out there doing it. So thank you very much for all of your effort.
And thanks to all who submitted, because I've had a lot of cool stuff to read.
That's awesome. There'll be more.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your work. I noticed that you genre hop a lot. What is it about stories from so many different settings that's appealing to you?
Honestly, I don't really care about genre in some ways. I care about the characters. I'm a character guy first.
Gotcha.
My writing style is I create a character, I put him in the situation, and then I role play. I was a theater guy. I've been role playing since 80 or so, and that's my writing style. And so I'm a pantser, and a lot of times I do that because I don't entirely know which way the character's going to jump, and I want to give the characters that flexibility to tell me where they're going to go, and then craft the story that fits the way those characters want to do things. So it doesn't really matter what the genre is, because it does. I pay attention to genre tropes to a certain extent, but if I get an idea it's in fantasy, great. If it happens to be alternate history, great. I will say that the biggest genre I write in, because every one of my books has some of it, is mystery. I am a mystery writer first, and it just happens to be that my mystery might be set in epic fantasy, or it might be set in military science fiction, or it might be the Edward novels, which are actually hardboiled private eye novels with swords and sorcery. I write mystery first. That's the one that comes to mind.
I like it. Good call. That's what unites it. That makes sense. Well, I checked out your Amazon best-selling novel, The Feeding of Sorrows, from the Four Horsemen universe, and you made me laugh in the 3rd paragraph, even though they're in the midst of battle. So well done. Well done. This is Jaded Editor here, and you made me laugh in the 3rd paragraph. So how important is humor to your overall product?
It has to be there some. I mean, I've read a lot of military history. And I do a lot of action and military stuff going on through my stories. That's just I like action. I like sword fights. I like spaceship battles. I like exploding spaceships and guns of fire and all of these things. But since I've read a lot of military history and a lot of it from veterans, talked to a lot of veterans, there's humor in all of that. There is humor in all of that. They have to. It's like nurses have to do it. Police officers have to do it. My wife's an ex-federal police officer, and her sense of humor is really dark. It's actually one of the things we bond on. And I think when you're in the most tense situations, I think you have to laugh or go crazy. Or you might do both, but and then I grew up on MASH, and I grew up.
Gosh, I love MASH,
and especially the book, which is really intense at times. Um, yeah, there's just like old Jester says, they can be they're going to be grim, and that humor in these awful situations is
it keeps it out of the grim dark. Absolutely. Yep.
And Rich or R. Davis writer, yes, I agree. There's something, the mystery tropes. To me, there need to be some of them, simply because I don't want to give everything away in the first paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Agreed.
See, we got lots of MASH fans. I know the moms love MASH too. Mystic love MASH. Yeah, there was something magical about that show where you're laughing and crying in 30 minutes. That's magical. I don't know anything that does that now.
No. And they didn't even want to do that until later in the show, which was, I mean, the first few years aren't that good compared to the really tough. I remember my favorite's the one where Winchester's dealing with the guy who the piano player who's lost his hand and gives up his life, and Winchester finds, and I'm tearing up thinking about it because it's just such an emotionally powerful episode.
It's incredible.
Blake in the book was much different than the one on the TV show Friday Blue. Blake in the book is a much more fun character because he knows what's going on and he's making the conscious decision. Potter is much more like Blake in some ways in the TV show.
Well, I liked Potter. Potter was my favorite. He made more sense to me with the military background. I can't see Blake actually running anything. But Blake, I think, was proper for the beginning of the show. Right.
Well,
you're introducing people to something brand new. You're doing this whole thing where you're actually showing them how to do this. So I think, no, you are supposed to laugh. See, so it kind of, I think that helped, because I know Alan Alda said he would not do it if it was like Hogan's Heroes, because Hogan's Heroes didn't take anything seriously.
Right. And they did have some seriousness, but they don't show the same amount. Like, I'm not sure if they showed blood in the TV show until really late. Whereas if you watch the movie, blood's everywhere. The movie is.
I don't think they were allowed to.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie's dirtier too, right? I mean, this was TV in the 70s. I mean, there were a lot of things they were not allowed to do. If this was on HBO right now, which I would like to see, could someone do that? It would be very, very different.
And Spike gets point on Blake.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
What an amazing way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
To do that death, because he was gone from the show. Everybody's like, oh, we get a new actor. Okay, gets rotated home. And then to have Radar come in
mm-hmm.
At that.
And the fact that the actors didn't know. That's why it was brilliant. It was so well done. But as much as we love MASH, this is not about MASH, even though we probably could do an episode, just an episode and do a whole podcast about that in our spare time. Right, Rob? We totally have enough spare time. Yeah, to do one more thing. Well, let me see. I've been dying to ask. Like, it's the only thing I really wanted to talk about the Eldros legacy. You got us so excited about that with Superstars. I want all the authors on. I'm so excited about it. Yes. And so, what can you tell us about this world? Why is Eldros legacy so special?
Well, this is the first book.
Todd, we love Todd in this.
Todd Fahnestock, Kaiven the Unkillable. I hope it's showing up good on the screen. It's hard for me to tell. It looks beautiful.
Yep.
That's the first. Seeds of Dominion is next. Deadly Fortune comes out a week from today, and we may have some cover art to show you on that as reveal. We revealed it this past weekend on Sunday. The Four Horsemen universe, to diverge a little bit, is this fantastic military science fiction universe that has had 30-some authors in there write novels. I think 76 novels total. Maybe not quite 30, but 20 to 30 authors. It's been this wide, sprawling collection of awesomeness.
Collection of awesomeness. I love that. That's perfect.
Yeah,
that should be a cover somewhere.
It has been. It covers just about every possible science fiction genre. Mine's got mystery and spy and mil sci-fi and there's space opera and there's all this stuff in it, and it's not it's just under this one big umbrella of everybody following the same rules of the universe, and I love it.
Yep.
But I wanted to do this in the fantasy setting, and so what I did is I got 4 great authors to work with me. Todd Fahnestock is one, Quincy Allen is another. Marie Whitaker is the third, and then Mark Stallings is the fourth. Then we spent basically all of 2019 trying to lay the groundwork for this really large project that we hope will ultimately have 70 to 100 books in it down the road. And we are starting to get really going. We've had some hiccups along the way, but it's a huge project that will have some of these. And so we're going to try and get a book out a month, pretty much every month. We've missed 2, but most months we're going to have a book a month out. And it's going to be from one of us 5 founders. Like my book should come out in May. We're going to have books from other people like Aaron Rosenberg, who is a fantastic writer in a number of universes, including Star Wars, Stargate Atlantis, Warhammer 40K, a whole bunch of other shared properties, and his own stuff. Amazing guy. He is writing a story, and again, these stories are not necessarily always going to be epic fantasy. Some of them will be just pure sword and sorcery. The one that Aaron has got, which is Deadly Fortune, coming out in a week, is more of sort of swashbuckling private eye. It's got pirates and intrigue, and not really magical. It's just all this action and adventure in this land of pirates. And so every one of us authors sort of, the 5 main ones created a continent, and my continent is Shiuran, and the other 4 have their own continents, and they each sort of have their own theme. Mine is legendary things, legends and lore, and so it's got a little bit more poetry. Monsters are generally things that you're familiar with, a lot of real world cultures and stuff like that. Quincy likes demons and all sorts of quirkiness, and so his is demons and has a whole bunch of weird monsters and races and beasts. Mark loves dragons. Oh my God, does Mark love dragons?
That's why we love Mark. It totally works for us.
The only thing worse than talking to Mark about dragons is asking Mark about coffee. Don't do it. Don't ask Mark Stallings about coffee.
Or beer. I mean, come on now.
Oh, coffee's the worst. Beer, I'm good with. And then Marie Whitaker, she wanted volcanoes and fire and gems, and so hers is Pyronon, and it's focused around fire. And then Todd came in, and Todd's a really innovative dude. And
he really is. Love that brain of his.
He did shadows and light. His has this big globe of light that's centered in his continent, trying to defeat shadow. Like if you look at the map, there's literally a big globe of yellow in there, and it's light that's placed there sort of like a weapon of magical mass destruction, trying to defeat Shadow Army, and it fails. But it leaves this weird terrain in his setting. Really neat stuff that he's got going on. So mine's Shiuran, Mark's is Draconon, dragons. Quincy is Daemonon, demons. Marie is fire, so it's Pyronon. And then Todd is Noxanon, which is shadow and light. And then we have a bunch of other authors that we've already gotten recruited who are already participating and contributing full-length stuff. Aaron Rosenberg has a novel coming out next week, as I said. Jamie Ibsen's working on a novel set in Daemonon. Aaron's is set in Shiuran. Jamie's is writing one in Daemonon. We have Courtney Farrell is one who's writing in Pyronon. Sam Witt is writing a hunter/witcher kind of monster chasing character in Draconon, and then I think Kendra Merritt's going to be the first one with a Noxanon novel. And we're going to be interspersing them. We promise you as founders, we're going to give you one mainline founder novel a year. So there's 5 of us for the main line, and that's going to go, we've got an 8-year plan for ours. So there's 40 books. And then we're going to be putting in a whole bunch of stuff. And Shiuran is my setting for my other previous stuff. So we'll be re-releasing my stuff with my Edward character and my what is actually the prequel to The Door into Winter, which will be my first true Eldros Legacy novel on the main line. So it's a prequel that we'll be setting out as an omnibus coming in the summer, I suspect. So
So exciting.
We got great maps. We've got an archive that we're going to try and keep up with all the characters and place names and all that stuff. That's going to be a little bit behind because it takes time, but that's what we're working on. And it currently is up. It's at eldroslegacy.com/archives. Obviously, eldroslegacy.com is there. We have a mailing list. In fact, I'll be sending out a new mailing list talking about Aaron this week. And we have a lot of plans for this, a lot of cool ideas. Basically, we got 5 people going, oh, this will be cool. Let's see if we can execute it. And so excited about this.
So much fun. I'm very excited too.
Yes.
It's Spastastic the Diabolical says the brown dragon has a coffee damage breath weapon. Is that real? Because that would be awesome. Does that mean you just get the shakes, from drinking too much coffee? Is that what happens? That dragon might already live in my house.
I just guess that Mark will soon add a new dragon to Draconon. This is not necessarily good.
Think of the merchandising. I mean, come on now. This could totally work.
Draconon brand coffee.
That's right. Have mugs and everything. I mean, this totally works. So that's awesome. So I'm very excited. So I can't wait for everyone to see. And like I said, we're big fans of Todd. So, and his book is already out, and Quincy's is already out. So there's a few already out. And
like I said, do we want to do the cover reveal now? I guess.
Yeah. Kevin, do you want to do the cover reveal?
Sure.
All right, let's do it. Zafo, let's do the cover reveal. He'll fix the sound.
Am I? Sorry about that. That's
we are fixing the sound.
Sorry, we did put this up last minute, so I apologize. Yeah. She really is Todd's biggest fan. Sad face. Don't be sad, Tara. We're gonna get it up.
Okay. We have audio.
We have audio? Okay, let's do it again. Here we go. Take 2.
Do we have audio? Yay, we worked. Okay, so this is cover for Deadly Fortune. The cover was done by Caio Cacau, who is a Brazilian artist that Aaron has worked with quite a number of times and really loves the vibrancy of his art. And as you can see it, we told him we wanted a swashbuckling thing and it needed to involve pirates. And boy, that sure looks like there's some buckles being swashed on that cover. I mean, it's really an amazing cover.
I love covers with action in it. That it means so much more. It hits home.
Yeah, so that's the cover for Deadly Fortune, coming out next Tuesday on Amazon, and you can get it in paperback. You'll be able to get it in ebook format. Down the road, we're working on getting the audiobooks, but unfortunately, the audiobooks take time. I will tell you, we're also going to be adding all of the Eldritch Legacy stuff in German and ultimately in other languages. We are putting everything in CKP ultimately on the German market in German, and we're doing, and that's
the one growing. We've been looking at it too. Yep. We'll have to pick your brain.
So Kevin Steverson, Mark Stallings actually was heavily involved with that. Kevin Steverson. Those two did a lot of the work to spirit. I feel like I'm missing one other person in that, but from my perspective, it's been something that he's been working through Chris, and I'm just like, sounds great. Sounds great. I've got nothing positive to add, so I'm going to shut up and nod.
So you got it. Sweet. Done.
Yes.
Just like you tried to take stuff off Chris' plate, you let them take some stuff too. It's all good. It'll all work in the end.
Yes, it does.
Well, I'm wondering, since you have all of these authors working together and all these cool people, and you're bringing new authors on to add to this universe, how do you vet these writers? Like, how do you decide this one's going to be great for the Dragon World? Like, how do you decide?
Well, honestly, we asked them to give us a short story.
Okay.
We asked them to give us a short story, give an idea of a character or area that they want to write in, and sort of see their writing and see how it flows. That's for authors that we don't really know or we haven't had much experience with. With Aaron, I had actually seen some of his works because I've published him before. It wasn't a question. Jamie, obviously, we've seen a lot of Jamie Ibsen stuff. Sam Witt has a line of credits, and I've seen his stuff. I've published his stuff as well. So I had some experience with them, and we didn't worry about it. But if it's an author that we don't know, obviously, before they get into a full-length novel, before they spend hour after hour after hour in something, we don't want them to waste their time.
Right.
Let's say they give us a short story and it's not, worst case, it doesn't really fit us. They've still got a short story. Now they'll have to file the names off and do the things, kind of rearrange stuff so it's not stepping on our IP, but they'll still have a story, and that's just editing, right?
Not a waste of the time, yep.
Right. We hope to be doing anthologies down the road. Kind of have to balance out anthologies with full-length novels because anthologies don't sell as well as novels do. So we have to be, honest about making sure we're getting the right kind of flow of everything. So we'll use as many of those in anthologies as we can, although it may take some time. And then in worst case, we'll find some that we're going to be using as freebies, as giveaways to our readers as new books come out and things like that. So the joy of short stories, by the way, if you're a fledgling writer and you've never written before, write short stories, even if you don't have an immediate plans for them. They can be used as ways to get new people onto your mailing list. And by the way, if you're a new writer, get yourself a mailing list started. It's the best way to reach out to people who are interested.
No doubt.
And I have a mailing list. If you you can go to robhowell.org and you can sign up for it there. But writing, because once you publish, like you publish a short story with us, a year later, a year after publication date, you get the rights to it. I have rights, for example, to Four Horsemen stories. I have rights to my alternate history short stories. So those become things I can give away. I can repackage and put online as things to sell separately. There are all sorts of things you can do with short stories. So if you're a new writer, short stories aren't just a good exercise for improving your craft, but they are a fantastic way to, they're a tool that you can use down the road. All right, I'll get off my soapbox now.
No, it's a good soapbox because not only that, you actually learn, like I learned more about character by writing short stories.
Yeah.
That actually made my character work stronger.
Yeah, because you can do backstory moments in your character like before the main thing. Thanks to Old Jester 68, not sure who that is.
Hey, you beat Safo. I mean, don't take his job. Trust me, you don't want it. I yell at him a lot. You can ask him.
This is where I'll be quiet and let you ask the next question.
No, like I said, they're here for you, man. They're not here for me. But look, we talked a lot about books and writing and blah, blah, blah. I'm really interested in this former soda jerk job. Like, what was that?
I have literally made over 100,000 milkshakes in my life.
What? That is so cool. Was it like one of those old-fashioned little places that used to be in pharmacies? Like, where did you do that?
Place called Jimmy's Diner in Wichita, and it started in 1987. And I worked there for like 8 years, and we made lots of milkshakes and hot fudge sundaes and all that stuff. In some ways, it's kind of a fun job, but I'll tell you, if you ever do that, wear braces on your wrists because you will get carpal tunnel.
With all the vibrating?
Yes.
So you hate your wrist. Is that what you're telling me? All of your jobs. So the soda jerk job, the IT job, and now writing. All of them.
Yes. Actually, writing's not so bad because my wrist can sort of sit here and I'm just doing this. I touch type really well and it doesn't actually hurt my wrists because they're not bent. They're not bent. They're not so. But I worked at Jimmy's Diner in Wichita for quite some time. And it was kind of at the forefront of the bringing back of the 50s diner concept. And the guy who ran it he's dead now, but his dad was the guy who founded White Castle way back when, which got founded in Wichita. It broke off from Wichita. There wasn't, last I checked, a White Castle in Wichita, but the White Castle brand started in Wichita, and the two partners split, and it became King's X in Wichita, of which Jimmy's Diner was one of those. And then, obviously, a lot of you probably have eaten a White Castle here and there.
I thought it was from Chicago. That's Shows you what I knew.
Yeah, White Castle's from Wichita. Freddy's Steak Burgers is from Wichita. Pizza Hut is from Wichita.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
In long winters, they had to find, something to eat. So
Wichita, oddly enough, is a huge foodie town. It is one of the best foodie towns. I would put it as the best foodie town per population anywhere.
Oh, I don't know. We might have to fight. It's one of the strengths of Houston.
Per population?
Yeah, even per population. We have more restaurants per population than anywhere else in the country. That's why we're rounder, too, just for the record.
Yeah, Wichita's right up there in the number of population, and it's a test market, and that's one of the reasons. Most every chain will stick one in to see how it goes in Wichita. That means all the local places have to be good. And there are some great restaurants in Wichita. I might like to eat, so...
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. We're on the same page there. No, 100%. I got you. Yeah. No, that's one of the joys of life. Oh, they're talking. Yes, driving does hurt in Houston. You're absolutely right, old Jester. It's a nightmare, which is why we're going to move downtown. Soon, we shall move downtown so we can walk to all of our favorite restaurants. Crystals. Oh, my gosh. I forgot about Crystals. Crystals might be the one that's from Chicago. I mean, they were all over. Now I can't remember. It's been a long time, man.
And this is for, I can't read it. Og Trepog?
Og, yeah, that's Og.
Hi, Og. Thanks very much. I appreciate it.
He's just mad because Zaphos shaved his. All right. He's here for certain questions, which we're actually about to get to because we talk so much, which was awesome. What I do want you to do first before I ask our lightning round is you said you have an anthology coming up you wanted to tell us about. Why don't you tell us about that?
We just released Keen Edge of Valor at Fantasy. This is the third Fantasy anthology, the Books of Valor, done in conjunction with that convention. All of these anthologies have had to do with valorous deeds and cool, stand at the bridge kind of moments. I love those kind of stories, and so I got to make it, so that's what it gets to be. I also get to do an open anthology, an open call contest. We take the top 4 stories, and they become finalists, and the winner gets 2 free passes to the following Fantasy, and which is a really neat thing that Fantasy is doing to support this. Really appreciate all the people at Fantasy and the hard work they do. Joe Lyons, the Lions and the Lioness are really awesome people, and their crew works really hard to take care of us there. But anyway, so this one had the 4 finalists were Chris Hepler, Nathan Balliet, Kathy DeMott, and Jonathan Miller. And Chris Hepler with The Torture of Camelot was this year's winner.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yes, it was the best story. I mean, the moment I read it, I was like, okay, this is top of the list. We'll see if anybody can beat it, but nobody came close.
Nobody did. That's awesome.
It's a tough story. It's got a bit of grimdark in it, but it's so powerful.
That's fantastic. It's nice when you read that story. It's like finding gold, It's like, oh my gosh, where did this come from? It's beautiful.
You read one and like, oh, well, shucks. I read one. Oh, hey, wow.
Right? You're like, oh, it's shiny.
and I'm doing this because the first time I read stories that get sent to me, I actually read them on my phone in bed. I send them to my Kindle and read them in bed. That's where I do most of my reading, so might as well if I can, Anyway. So next year.
Now that we all have a picture.
Yes. I also edit in bed. I will send it to my phone.
How can you do that? I couldn't edit in bed. I need to be in my computer.
You highlight stuff and you edit.
Oh, no way. No.
I do it all the time. You see things differently. You see things differently on the big screen, and you do better if you're reading it from a page. But if you're editing, sometimes you can edit better in some ways. I
just mean functionally. Like, I'm a pretty darn good typer. Obviously, I do this for a living, but not on my phone. I mean, it just becomes a nightmare.
It worked.
They would be like, what is this edit, Kelly? I cannot translate it. I have no idea.
Well, I will freely admit, I've trained my phone that DEL is delete, and it goes ahead and does that for me, and, a number of the other things. So I don't actually have to type as much as it might think. And a lot of them is like cut, delete, comma here, those sorts of things. And it's fast.
More copy editing than, I get you. Okay. But the new anthology.
That's where we were going before I distracted myself. Look, squirrel.
Sorry.
next year's anthology is going to be entitled Bonds of Valor, and Nathan actually was one of the guys who gave me the idea for it. And so what this is this is going to be any bonds between characters. So could be a romantic relationship, and it could be buddy adventure, it could be oath sworn, or something like that. They all still have to have deeds of valor, something heroic, something where you put yourself in front of some other person's harm's way or something along those lines. But this also has to do with some sort of pairing. So Dave Butler gives us these Indrajit and Fix stories, which are fantastic. They remind me of Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser. Those fit almost automatically. But look for something that has bonds between the characters that drives the story.
That sounds awesome. Is there a requirement, like it has to be a new writer, or you have to have 30?
The open call is for any writer who wants to submit, except for those who've won 2 open calls previously with me. So Casey Moores is out, Melissa Olsop's out, Kathy DeMott. I meant to mention this to her at the con. She's out because she's won twice. Because I do want to rotate fresh in. Yeah. Once is lucky, or once can be good. But twice is clearly good, and we're going to move you up to, a more challenging category, I guess, is the way to think of it. Yep. So anybody can submit whatever their experience, 7,000 to 10,000 words. Oh, that's good. The deadline is November 30th of this year, so you've got about 5 or 6 months. Some amount of months. I am still tired, and dates are hard. Dates are really hard. I guess it's 8 months, so I'm nowhere. Anyway, so
close
November.
Enough. We're good.
Yeah, and Times New Roman, 1.5 line spaced and 12 pitch font. There you go. There's the requirements.
There you go. And where can we find those? What's the website?
It'll be on chriskennedypublishing.com. Going to be posting that in the anthology section. I haven't gotten it done yet this week. I'm still recovering, but it'll be if you go to Chris Kennedy Publishing blog, there is something that says there's an anthology calls category. You can click on that and you can go straight to it. That's all of our open anthology calls. Right now, this is the only one that we've got open.
Excellent.
So yeah. Now, by the way, that explains why I want to be the incarnation of time, because I don't have any clue about time. I better well darn well change it to what I need.
I will tell you, when I found out that with the ADHD brain, it's very difficult. There's I can't tell time. There's no sense of time at all. And I was like, oh my gosh, that explains so much. Why did nobody tell me that?
Yes, time stands still. Nathan knows I'm a huge Rush fan. In fact, I should actually be wearing a Rush t-shirt. I only wear Rush t-shirts at cons. That's how you can find me.
Zapho has a bunch of those too. It's his favorite band too. Y'all can bond. So we have reached our lightning round. Woo! So we have 5 minutes. These are very important questions, so you have to take them seriously, Rob. Ready?
I will give them the attention they deserve.
Okay, maybe more attention than that. Okay, sorry. What is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Culver's Midnight Toffee.
Ooh, good choice.
I try to avoid sugar. I didn't this weekend. I tried to avoid sugar, but when it's Culver's, that's the special one at the close one.
Mm-hmm. You have to have.
I'm tempted. I'm really tempted. Yeah.
Can zombies climb?
That is the author's choice.
That's not an answer. You have to answer. Pick a side.
Yes. They have to be able to climb fences to get at the meat on the other side.
Right? I mean, when you're hungry, you do almost anything, right? Good job. Og really likes you now. Good beard, right answer, according to him. Cats or dogs?
Yes.
Didn't I mention the seriousness of these questions?
I am serious. I will say that we only have cats because our lifestyle does not lend itself well to having a dog. We don't have
a puppy.
Yeah.
Can't take them everywhere yet.
Yeah. So we have cats. We have lots of cats. We have more cats than we should. I suppose cats, but I love having dogs. There's nothing quite like having a dog come up and lay his head on your lap and put his feet up and his belly's up and he's twitching because he's chasing a rabbit or something like that.
Something magical.
Yes.
What part of your daily routine is an absolute must?
Sorry for those of you with sensitive ears, peeing.
Peeing? No, that's fair. No, I mean, when you got to do it, you got to go.
Yeah, probably that. I guess if a more real answer is I've got to really sit down almost every day I sit down and I think about something new to write. I don't necessarily put it on pages, but I'm always, there's always times where I'm kicking back and the wheels are spinning.
Yeah, I love it. So what is the first thing you put in your grocery cart?
Coffee for the sweetie.
There you go.
I like to live.
And thank you so much for being on. You were awesome. Just a wealth of knowledge and entertainment. You don't always get that combo, so thank you very much. So where can fans find you and your work?
RobHowell.org. My website, robhowell.org/blog, is where I post weekly my update. I also have an update on I use that update on my mailing list. I am available on Twitter as Rodri2112. That's RHODRI 2112. I am Rodri2112 on Facebook, so facebook.com/Rodri2112. Rodri is my SCA name, and did I mention
2112 Rush? Yeah, we got you. On board.
Not too subtle there, but let's see here. I'm on MeWe as Rodri2112. Let's see here. No, that's probably the best way to find me. Rob@robhowell.org is my email. Rob@chriskennedypublishing.com is another email. Feel free to send me comments or questions. And I actually, we need more questions from the audience, I think, so I can give away.
We'll get them at the end.
Okay.
We'll get them at the end. You did awesome. So now that Rob is your new favorite author, please make sure to review his work and submit to his anthologies. That's going to be fun too. And please make sure to review us wherever it is you get your podcast. You can also follow us on, I always get these confused, follow us on Twitch and subscribe on YouTube. So we can't wait to see you next week where we have the release of The Last Humans with Gregory D. Little.
I also should add, I'm also on the Dudes in Hyperspace podcast. I'm so zonked, I forgot my own podcast.
That's right. I need to go on that. And I I too. That's right. Dudes in Hyperspace, you said?
Yeah. Believe.com, BLEAV.com, podcasting network. Believe.com and search for Dudes in Hyperspace and you'll find us there.
Great. There we are. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.